Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly Ascension Angel Messages for November 25th through December 1st, 2024. So as we start, I'd just like to, first of all, thank all of you for your prayers over the last few months. It's been a really sort of rocky status health-wise for me. I think what it really was boiling down to in terms of, in terms of nature itself, it's just allergies. The cough was persisting and triggering my asthma and things of that nature. I'm not completely over the cough, but I do feel like for the first time, my body is turning in a new direction. So thank you very much for your prayers and for all of the guidance and remedies that people suggested. Thank you very much. Also, it does feel energetic as well on some levels, and just a lot of people have been going through similarly some of the symptoms I've been experiencing. So one of the things I experienced in the last 3 days, and I don't know if anybody else is, but I was talking to some people too, which is strange, was that leading up to the full moon on the 15th, I actually, 3 days before, had trouble sleeping. Well, kind of a little different than that. I fell asleep as soon as I came home from work. It was probably like 6 or something after I had my dinner. And I woke up at the first time 2:30 and just feeling, very rested, alert. The next night I woke up at 12, and then the Thursday I woke up at 10:47 p.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. And I went through my day of teaching with like no issues whatsoever in terms of my, being alert, and my cognition was great, and it didn't crash, really terribly crash, but until after I got out of the building. I mean, it started to hit me during our faculty meeting, just slightly, but I was still alert. But by the time I got home and had some dinner at a restaurant, I had this huge headache and some neck tension, and so I was just like, whoa. I came home, fell asleep after that, and I tried to stay up a little bit later because I wanted to see if it was going to affect it, but I was able to sleep like normal this week. So yeah, there's just a lot of shifts and changes coming up, and I'm just seeing the word legacy for some reason right now. They're showing me that, and this particular time period is what I'm sensing and feeling from them. It's really important. So it's hard for us to sort of pull ourselves out of the manure of, circumstances and events, whether they're worldwide or happening on a community level, on a personal level. It's hard to pull ourselves out of that huge ego base, right? And that's what it's for, is to distort, to distract. But the angels are giving me a sense that an important legacy, the foundations of the legacy of the world and of the souls, all the souls of the world, that foundation is being firmly put into place. So while it might seem like there's a lot of things out there to be worried about and to be concerned about, and maybe our health symptoms are really to draw our attention to ourselves, right? To not let us just get so distracted by everything going on out there. And that even means within your home, which is interesting because they kept showing me that word as I was preparing. You can't get distracted by anything that's going on right now. Everyone is in their own, everyone is sort of on their own quest, and they're perfectly positioned to heal, to transform, to be transfigured even. They're in that perfect position. And like, what does that mean? We're in that perfect position. We're in that perfect position to not turn away from or turn against something or to push against it. But you're in that perfect opportunity where you might feel like you're being pushed. And that push is the call. But you're sort of wrapped up in, what's not right and what's gone wrong or what might go wrong. When all along, it's the decisions that you make, the choices you make, how to handle those things, how to be present with all of it, is the real defining precedence. We're just right now experiencing everything that we've ever created, collectively and individually, and it's all linked. The spiral, it's all connected. As long as you think it has nothing to do with you, and I don't mean that I'm telling you to play the blame game or the victim game. No, stand in your power, stand in your light, and see the magical, powerful, awesome, creative being that you are. And just look at it with total detachment, but total clarity. This is just happening out there because it's already been spinning, but right in this moment is the present. Right in this moment is what I want, what I deserve, what can be. what should be, what's best moving forward. Do you feel the freedom of that, freedom from that? Once you start focusing in the present moment, you don't, and you can't actually. So you can't fix, so what, because we tend to, the ego tends to never be in the present. So one, that's what the illusion of the ego is all about. That's how it manifests itself into our reality, by convincing you to deal with something that's already, that was already spun long before this moment. Whether it was worrying about the future or not being able to let go of something that went down in the past. You can't change that. You can't fix that illusion. The only reason it's still spinning is because you don't let it go. Unplug yourself from the manure. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to resist it because it's like you created it. That's why it feels real to you. We created it. That's why it feels real to all of us, the collective and the personal. But when you start focusing on the inspiration of the moment that is before you, that is even in the moment of what you can control and can do. What I mean by can control, what you can do in the moment right now. And not just because of that. No, we're not thinking about what we can do because of that. And that's what we're always doing. And that is why that feels so real. That's why it keeps spinning. That's why it keeps drawing us in, sucking us in, really. In this moment, you have total autonomy, freedom, free will. The ego would have you to believe that free will is a joke. And it is, if you get drawn into the manure, if you're plugged in, it is a joke. So is love. So is freedom. Any of those other fancy words that we use to describe it, it'll seem like a joke. And it can only become one if you keep plugging in to the manure. See, right now, we're all talking about what we don't want to happen. We've been resisting, and thereby not realizing, attracting it to us. This is the oldest lesson of time, and yet we still keep falling right into it. All of us, you and me. And if you're wondering how certain things unfold, think about all the attention that went to that intention and distorted your intention, because you were coming from a different intention. But you can't stay clean if you've also got your hands in that manure. You might have a clear intention of righteousness, but if you're in it, you're in it. There is no either or. There's no but. Now, I know as I'm talking, our minds are going to the election and other things going on around the world. But draw it very close to home first. Draw it to those nights when thoughts are just going and going and going. So I was definitely thinking a lot about, when I was up, about the performance, the concert that's coming up for the kids, and being in a new setting, a new job, different community, different reactions and responses to things. And I was particularly worried about the time frame of the schedule for rehearsals, which has not come about yet. And what the kids actually showed me is just how different they are, in the sense that they pick up things extremely fast. And by yesterday, Friday, I felt confident about everything that I had done, but it wasn't because, of course, I facilitated, but they brought themselves, and I listened to the universe in the moment and spoke to them in a way to help them to understand, right? And throughout the process, it was new ways. And so those new ways, those new reactions in the moment were those solutions that I didn't even know at the moment were solutions, but they were. All I've known is, I'm not saying the same things I used to say in my old situation. Didn't know why they were coming out this way. But we have a choice. Other people can choose to live in that ego space and really, be convincing that they have power over you and that they're going in the direction that you don't want to go. But they can only go forward in their distorted reality. But you can only go forward in the one that you choose to either go with, participate in, or the one that you deliberately create. One day, something unfolded, and a bunch of people just immediately got panicked. But I just stood still, and I focused on what I could do to change that moment, instead of doing what everybody else was doing, which was not going to bring the solution as quickly as the choice that I made when I decided to listen. So a student was having a panic attack and had asthma, and everybody was just, and everybody forgot that we had a phone in the classroom. But that wasn't actually what we ended up using initially to get the student what she needed. The students knew. And when I heard them, I said, go get it. They got back there before the nurse ever arrived. And sort of the same, just sharing this with you, because our response to everything is to do what the ego does: panic. Now, if you think God or angels panic, no. Not oneness, not peace. No. It thinks. It deliberately creates. So when I told you a year or two ago, when it finally occurred to me, we say the old folks in the South, we always, revere their wisdom, and it's not, we're not, but you know what I'm trying to say. When we call them old folks, we're really talking about the wise ones, is what it means, because everybody quotes them with reverence. And the old folks always used to say to us, there's a reason for everything. Meaning God has a reason for everything. Because God is a deliberate creator, omnipotent and omnipresent. And you and I have to accept that. If you can't accept it and they right, respect that, then you will be prey to your ego and its manure, and the manure of everybody else and their ego, who is also agreeing with you by their actions. Instead of panicking, which, okay, we're all humans, so I'm not telling you to be perfect. I'm just giving you the streamlined understanding. Deliberately create what you deserve, no matter how difficult or challenging a moment or a situation is or seems that it will be. Deliberately decide for yourself, what kind of energy are you going to supply the moment? And that's what they wrote in front of me. And then they say, then see what happens. And they don't mean stand back and wait for something at this moment. When you deliberately create, you just gave yourself an assignment, which means it has procedures, right? Steps, goals, and probable expectations. You're going to have to replay that if you want, because I just said that without even understanding that. But I do now, but I can't repeat it to you in that order. That's what I'm saying. So pause it, replay it, write it down if you like. Let me look too, because I want to go back and do that myself. 23, 30 something. You now move forward with those steps as you're doing, because you're deliberately creating. Then at the right time, the right moment, see what happens. That's what they meant. Okay? And leave it there. Let's take a look at the archangel that we're working with. Man, I hate when the cards get... It's Archangel Metatron. This morning, he came to me. I can't remember. So this morning, early this morning, like after 4, or maybe a little bit before, Archangel Metatron had asked for me to open my heart fully, 100%. And then I was asked to send that pure form of love to the office of the president, not who sits in that office, but to the office. Now that was the word they wrote. They gave me the word office, and that's what they meant. This is one transformative way that you can impact moments in your life and in the life of the world. Your heart, when it's fully open, the purity and clarity of that love is like the finest cut diamond. And all the facets of light that diamond is shining, and its cuts have all the elements, ingredients, the messages of your soul and the prayers of the collective, most importantly, encoded within it, keys and codes of wisdom, light codes, and all the gradients of light within it. If you feel called for a person or a situation, ask for your heart to be open fully to its fullest potential. And go a step further, if it is the right moment in time, that it be open 100%. And then start using it in this way so that the more you use it, it becomes activated. The more it becomes activated, the more effective it will be. And you can call upon Archangel Metatron to raise the light levels of your soul energetically, and to fully align you with your I am presence or your monad, so that the full power and force and source of it will start to be embodied and these light codes transmitted. They will have an effect on the execution of your deliberate creating. He writes, and they will automatically become, and they wrote angel in German, in the sense that you'll become an angel light source, transmitter of these energies wherever you go. In a way, involuntarily, being a transformer of moments. And just take a deep breath. And as you do this, Archangel Metatron is moving towards you. And he is embracing you with specific codes and keys. Some of them are familiar to us. They might be numbers, these symbols. They may be symbols that we're already familiar with, or they might be objects that we are familiar with and that are very potent for us symbolically. Some of them are tools that your soul, they're from your soul's own toolbox of spiritual, how do we say this? So like, for instance, I saw, is it called a sickle, or, you know, the one we usually see on the death card, right? Where you just cut things down. And so it's symbolic of what your soul's gifts are, right? That you might have the ability to, you know, create change very rapidly, or that you embrace change with a certain amount of strength and dignity and respect, despite, they write, how difficult it seems you, or that you are suffering through something. But he writes, you do it exquisitely if you were not in judgment of yourself and in judgment of the circumstances and the situations that are unfolding around it. If you would trust that you're right where you need to be and that everything is happening for a reason, you are all handling it exquisitely. And they mean this through your human form, your consciousness. You know, your soul is wearing this humanity, which we have this this duality, right? Ego and light, and you're handling it exquisitely. Know the souls that are on the planet right now were basically, as you understand, called from very high places. No one's soul is lower than seventh dimensional. There are souls out there that are lesser dimensional, and they were not allowed because they would not be able to handle this in the way that you are. And you're thinking to yourself, man, what a mess I've made of some parts of my life, or all of it. But you've been handling it exquisitely because you were meant to go through some of it, and others we drew to ourselves as we're participating in the manure, right? And we're getting a little dirty. And that was expected, and you're still doing that extremely, extremely well. You just need to get off your back. They're right, yes. You know, give yourself a break. All right, let's take a look at the cards and the messages. This was laid down again from right to left. So this is, for us to pay attention to ourselves personally. Our personal journeys is about a personal journey and not so much about the collective. So we have the Eight of Wands. And this can either mean messages, spiritual help, assistance on its way in the form of spiritual guidance. So really be aware of, the inspiration that pops off for you. And I love to tell people this because many people are waiting for God to talk to them or something to talk to them, angelic or heavenly. Inspiration is that voice. So never say you've not had many messages from the divine. And so be aware of them, but be ready to receive them. And it kind of comes across with this card as all that stuff that's going on out there. Pay attention to the inspiration, the orgasmic information is how they're wording, defining inspiration. Pay attention to that just sort of interrupts that moment for you and takes you out of it. That's literally the helping hand from the universe that you're asking for. But just don't slap it when it comes because you're afraid that you're not ready or that you're not good enough for it. And notice it's the same colors of Archangel Metatron. So this is really pay attention to, I feel like the innate wisdom that's going to awaken within you. And now we have the Sun card. So there's something, a positive shift, an opportunity, that legacy they were talking about in this moment that will come through for you. See, if certain things do not happen, everything is a setup, not a setback. People might be trying to set you back, but they are only setting you up. People who try to go against the will of the universe or of God always end up being sort of being used, but as the old folks used to say, by God to fulfill his plan. And sometimes we need help waking up. We need help seeing things from a different perspective. We need help, getting out of our comfort zone and into those areas we call risks, but which are really, or risky areas, which are really the fertile land of opportunity. Because once you're over there and not standing on the other side of the fence where fear has conjured a reality for you to see, when you try to look over there, you'll see all the things that you've been desiring and hoping for. Everything you've ever wanted is where the risks are. So this is a time for you to shine. Now, we have the Sun card and the Emperor card bringing this stability, this groundedness, okay? Maybe you're afraid of letting go of what you think is already your safe zone, what you feel is security. However, that, for me, the Sun is saying that it's just only going to expand if you're willing to open up your heart, step outside of your fear, step right into it with a sense of not expecting your fear to be what you meet, but facing it with courage, put your money where your mouth is, right? And like I say this many times years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, deadly afraid that my life was, that I was going to die at some point soon. And the walls and the ceiling, the floor were coming in. I mean, literally, only time ever in my life. And something told me, tell it to prove it to you. And when I got it and I understood, yeah, like, go ahead, like, prove it to me. Because I'm standing here in fear and I'm still alive, and it's prolonging and I'm long, this fear moment is just growing greater, and it's like, feels like it's forever. And when I told it to do that, it couldn't. That's the thing about fear. When you tell it to prove it to you, it cannot. Why? Because it's an illusion. And then it's Achilles' heel. It must dissipate. Everything went back into its place, and the feeling never returned. Okay? It's the best way I can put that, I hope. And look at the card I pulled from the bottom. And they made me keep cutting the deck until the right card. And so the Strength card. This card is like, it reminds me of the story, the angel, who was it? Jacob was wrestling with the angel or something, story in the Bible. You're wrestling with yourself. You are wrestling against your own angel, your higher self, who really knows how to take care of you and does not want to harm you, does not want to defeat you or undermine you, but just wants to embrace you. But first, they're helping to temper your psychosis, for lack of a better word, right? We're letting ourselves get worked up about a lot of nothing, meaning illusions. And we have to rein that in, not by suppressing it, because the fear is it's really the opposite of everything it makes you believe it is. It's creativity, it's power, it's inspiration. And so you got to embrace it. Tell it to prove it to you, and then keep going. And then again, see what happens. That's it. That's the roundup of this entire reading. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful and extraordinary week of opportunities to disrobe and leave your fear right there, laying on the ground where you disrobed, and deliberately create and step into the fulfillment of your truth and divinity. God bless you.